Well, hello and welcome to another Daily Dominion. On a Thursday, we usually have two expansions mixed up, and it's no difference today as we have some adventures and hinterlands action. And this kingdom does have some strong cards in it once again, and does lend itself for some strong-ish engines. We'll get to that. But also, looking at this assortment of cards, we see that there is only one card that can really thin cards from your deck, and that one doesn't do so for any card that doesn't cost 0, which is Trader, as it allows you to trash cards from your hand, but then you gain silvers per one it costs, so you can trade an estate away into 2 silvers, I guess, but it's not really nice thinning. So that's continuing, I guess, the trend from yesterday, where we also didn't have great thinning, but quite the fine kingdom engine-wise. And here we have a village and port. We have the peasant line, the travelers. You can exchange peasants for soldiers, soldiers for fugitives, all the way up to teacher, which also allows you to then put the plus action, plus buy, plus coin, plus card token on cards. And Disciple itself is a village as it double plays whatever card you play. We have Lost Arts, which can also move your plus action token to an action supply pile. Note that with Teacher, in principle, you could move your plus card token, I don't know, to whatever card you like, and then afterwards buy Lost Arts and also move your plus action token to that pile. Whereas Teacher doesn't allow you to put tokens on cards that already have tokens on them. So the other way around wouldn't work. So I don't know, buying Lost Arts to put plus action on Ranger, which is a very sensible thing to do. You cannot put any further tokens on other cards, and also the plus action token is unique. So if you move it with Teacher, it will vanish from the pile you have it on before. Anyways, just some rules technicalities. We do have weak thinning, but we do have some cycling in dungeon, allowing you to to sift through your cards for the cost of essentially, lowering your hand size by 1. And scheme is there to also offer some reliability, allowing you to top deck cards that you had in play the turn you also played scheme. And what else? I guess also Traveling Fair allows you to top deck cards that you buy. And yeah, I think actually going for Teacher here might be on the slow side. I've played this kingdom 3 times on the way here, and I found that, like, in my first try I went for Teacher, and it was actually a disaster because I accidentally I cannot talk, exchanged the second Disciple also for a Teacher. So I suddenly had 2 teachers on my hand and no Disciple anymore. And Disciple is just a super strong card. And I mean, putting these tokens on cards with Teacher is strong, but passing up on one Disciple play and playing that terminal card to put it on the tavern mat during one turn can be too costly tempo-wise. And the thing is that here we have ports, we have rangers and peasants, the peasant line, for really good engine components that to allow you to draw your deck, dungeons for cycling. And then there's Fool's Gold to really quickly ramp up your payload, because you buy 2 of those, you have 5 more money next turn. You buy 3 of those, you have 9 more money on the next turn, and so on. Yeah, every further Fool's Gold is 4 money, so you don't want to react them to province gains of your opponent, to exchange them for golds, because just what they do by themselves is good enough. And I think we're not going to touch Trader, Artificer, Distant Lands, Duplicate. Maybe an Artificer somewhere along the way, but usually it's better to just hammer in the draw in Rangers to get that reliability that way. I guess Artificer can also top deck cards for you for extra reliability, but I think just hammering in Rangers, ports, and some Disciples is the way to go. Anyways, let's look at the kingdom plot. It does not convey any new information, nothing that I didn't tell you. There is a slight attack in soldier from the peasant line. Apart from that, there is no real attack here. Alt VP in distant lands. I guess you could drag out the game, but the game is just going to end on piles with ports, rangers, and then fool's gold just being a cheap pile that you both want. Those piles are going to diminish really quickly, so I don't think there's time to go for distant lands. To facilitate a strategy that focuses on ports and rangers and disciples, you want to get the peasant line up and running as early as possible, which is why I think the 4-3 and the actually maybe also the 5-2, but the 5-2 can have a bad case. But the 4-3 especially is like a super nice, super fast opening, allowing you to top deck a peasant turn 1, exchanging it for soldier turn 2 already, and yeah, that just accelerates the peasant line by a full shuffle. However, of course, still then your soldier might bottom deck, and you might not find that, but you can almost guarantee finding the soldier by adding a dungeon on turn 2 then, and yeah, that will cycle you through really nicely, and you're well on your way to go. On the 3-4, we're just opening dungeon, and then we top deck the peasant for turn 3. And that's just a shuffle slower to exchange the peasant, and not quite as great. Let me actually touch on the 2-5. I think the 2-5 is also pretty fine because you're guaranteed to find the dungeon on top then to get the cycling going, but it has the fail case of not finding the peasant. Then you're also sad. So we're opening dungeon and then we top deck the peasant turn 2, and AI is off to a great start as it is able to play that peasant right away and exchange it exactly what we planned. Now we have different options here. We didn't find the dungeon, which is also really bad, because if we had found the dungeon here in this hand, we would also have been rather fine. We would have triggered a shuffle on the next turn with the soldier in it. However, that's not the case, so we need to work around that. If we have the dungeon in our hand, we're also only likely to hit 4 again. And in that case, I guess we add ports and rangers, or just a ranger and dungeons, or ports and a dungeon. Or just another peasant. Actually, why not go for another peasant, top deck it, get another soldier in early on, and we do miss. I mean, that made it more likely that our dungeon missed. So we kind of, yeah, forced that upon ourselves. And this is also not great because this means our soldiers are going to collide, but at least we will be able to find the other dungeon and get running that way. Yeah. I would have loved to add some ports there, but we only hit. Oh, I should have. That was so stupid. I didn't pay attention for a second. I should have discarded this one of the soldiers there. There was something, yeah, in the background beeping, so I briefly got distracted. And yeah, next turn, what is next turn going to look like? Also pretty awful, right? Yeah, this was such a big mistake, not discarding that soldier. I really ought to be on my toes a bit more. I wonder what we add here. I know we have the scheme in there, so we are going to trigger the shuffle. Okay, I mean, it's not the greatest, but okay, we are going to trigger a shuffle with the soldier, the fugitive, and a dungeon, 3 coppers, and 1 estate in there. What else do we want to put in that shuffle? I guess just ports and see what we It could be a ranger. We can always delay playing that other soldier. But yeah, things are not moving along nicely. We're, especially with a mistake there, we are just off to a somewhat awkward start. And here we don't even want to top deck the dungeon. It's just really bad. My hope is that we hit 6 somehow to just put the lost arts on rangers and then get going from there. So let's see. Let's play, I guess, the fugitive first. Then the dungeon. We're not going to trigger this shuffle anyways. We would hit 4 here if we were to not play the ranger, but it's probably good to just turn over that journey token and get going that way. I'm hesitant to add a peasant at this point just because we already are so over terminaled. We do have the disciple finally entering our deck, but still, let's just pick up a fool's gold. And earlier in the game, there was a trick where you could actually just top deck the scheme for now. And what are these draws, man? Um, oh, this is just so awful. We could play this ranger in order to try to hit 6. If we don't hit 6, we're pretty lost, I think. If we do hit 6, wait, how likely are we to hit 6? We discarded 1 copper. So are we guaranteed to hit 6? There are 4 coppers and no, 3 coppers and a fool's gold in there. No, we're not guaranteed to hit 6. I'd say we play this ranger and we do hit 6. Actually the disciple bottom decks, and that's amazing. And now we're back in the game. But yeah, this was not great because now we can just top deck this ranger, double play it, gain a ranger just as AI did, and keep going from there. So AI does have its hands on a lot of rangers, but we are starting to get there as well. And I think we just add Ranger Fool's Gold. We have the scheme that can top deck a Ranger that is guaranteed to draw something. Yeah, I think that's probably the way to go. We're more or less, I think, skipping out on ports entirely now, since we have the Lost Arts on Ranger. And we can, yeah, just top deck a Ranger, not exchange that Disciple for a Teacher, especially as long as it could potentially gain us more Ranger. Maybe AI will, no, yeah. This way we are rather likely to be able to pair it up with another Disciple. I think we have another Ranger down there, right? We had 2 in the deck. Yeah, there's one more. And I dislike playing both of these dungeons on the same turn, but on the other hand, it's just so amazing to be able to do that that disciple thingy. And this means that probably we just top deck a ranger and buy 2 fool's golds, decline that. And yeah, we really have weaseled our way back in the game with this Lost Arts play, but it was close. Like we weren't guaranteed to hit 6 there. And I think it's safe to play like this. AI would need to disciple a port, then buy 3. Well, it's probably not entirely safe. With the godlike draws, it might be able to draw through, especially since the journey token. But on the other hand, yeah, with the estate, we at least have gone for a points lead, and we have top decked some rangers here. And AI would really need to like get the perfect draws to go for all of the ports and at least 2 victory points to surpass us, but that's not going to happen. It's just buying province and some ports. Okay, I guess if you don't have the lost arts, then you will need to do that. We don't have any actions in our deck that we can actually gain off to the side. Oh, we have the scheme, I guess. So we could at least disciple that. But yeah, I don't think it's going to matter at all because we hit 20 and 8 buys, which is enough to just buy all of those nice estates and a duchy. And despite having rather bad early game draws, we somehow managed to. Yeah, okay, now these disciples can leave our deck and become teachers. Despite our early game draws, we did have the punch in the end to go for some big time ranger stuff. I think AI's biggest mistake was that it added too many fool's goals before actually achieving something. The Artificer, I'm also not a super fan of. It's fine here, I guess, but you saw how bad our draws were and how well we still did by skipping both Artificer and even ports. We didn't have any ports in our deck. Yeah, adding lost arts on on rangers is huge, and I think in a proper playthrough where you don't have such bad early game luck, you might as well skip scheme. But here it was, of course, nice as a kind of glue card for our deck to help out with some of the worst draws. And of course, also that disciple bottom decking that turn where we had to play the ranger and drew the 3 coppers to hit lost arts. That was also good because then we were guaranteed to immediately make good use of the lost arts. Had we drawn that the disciple and seen it later afterwards, we might have been in more trouble. But yeah, I think that wraps it up. And I will try to catch you in the next one, whenever that may be. Probably not tomorrow, as I am going to Starkbierfest, a festivity in Munich, with some friends in the afternoon and in the evening. Anyways, that wraps it up. Goodbye.